What's up, everybody? It's your boy Melvin here for another review. Correction, classic review. And today I'm going to review the most famous of all anthology films series, The Twilight Zone. More specifically, the original Twilight Zone by Robert Serling that started from 1959 until 1964. That lasted of 5 seasons. So I'm not counting the remakes, or I might talk about the movie. Yeah, there's a connection to one I did in the review. But before we begin, did you subscribe? Did you hit the bell? Did you like this video? If not, what are you waiting for? Are you about to enter the fifth dimension? If so, you better like this video, because you don't know what lies beyond that other door to the next dimension. Now then, to the review. So this was a brainchild of one Rob Serling, who has to be one of the greatest writers. The Twilight Zone was a more like a sci-fi, fantasy, mystery series back starting from 1959 up to 1964 with 5 seasons. And during this time, this was actually a popular show. You have one of the great actors who are in some of the episodes in the Twilight Zone, like William Shatner, George Takei, Leonard Nimoy, Jonathan Winters, Mickey Rooney, anybody who even, I think, no, that was him. Sorry. And many, many more who entered the fifth dimension. I think to this day, the Twilight Zone has to be the popular one. I meant the original. Yes, there was a remake and a reboot that only lasted 2 seasons a year back. I didn't get to see it, but I did sell some Easter eggs that dedicated to the original series, so that's pretty cool. But you can't beat the original. Nope. I don't know how many reboots or remakes. You can't top Rob Serling's original intro when he tells the next story. Oh yeah. And there are a lot of good episodes. To me, I'm going to name a couple episodes, so have a great ride, everybody. I think there's one episode from season 1 called Judgment Night, where, let me try to remember which one is this episode, because remember, I'm mixing up with other episodes. Second, I can't remember. Oh yeah, season 2, A Thing About Machine. This was the first episode of Twilight Zone I seen. This was in 2011 during the the channel and Sci-Fi had this annual marathon for the 4th of July of the Twilight Zone. That's when it got me watching the Twilight Zone from this episode. About this guy, Mr. Winters, I think, hates the machines until the machines fight back and ended up killing him by his own car, getting him drowned. And it's just weird. Everybody that, hey, treat the machine with respect. Him, he didn't care. He thinks the machines are slaves. But these machines, oh no, they are fighting back. Even his own car got murdered him by drowning him. But there were some good ones. Ghost ones like, oh boy, Death's Head Revisited, where you have this Nazi SS captain returning to the scene of his crime, aka returning to the extermination camp he was in charge after hiding in Argentina. Went up there just for a visit until he met somebody from a prisoner from during his days working at the prison. And it turns out they're the ghosts of the prisoners condemning him to a crime against humanity for his crime that he did during the war. To him, the past is the past, but no. Your crime must be paid. with all the men you murdered. In the end, he was left. They actually found him going insane after the ghost psychologically tortured him. And they found him half mad. And they wonder why these planets stand up. They have to. As a reminder in a dark chapter in humanity. Well, they should, because you can't erase history. Even the dark ones. Then you had, let's see, I Am the Night, Color Me Black, which is from Season 5, which was the one before an execution that sunrise has arrived and it's still getting darker and darker, and they're about to execute a man for a crime which he may or did not commit. Which, this was a dark one because some believe he didn't do it, but others say, hey, he's our guy, we have to execute him. In the end, the whole place just went dark. Very dark. Literally. And that's how it ended. Then you have a class like Season 2, Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? Which you had two state troopers watching it like a UFO crash, and they thought the alien went to a diner, which they had a problem because there are a bunch of people there from a bus, and they don't know who's who. So before they can let everybody out, they want to know who is the real alien. It's like playing Guess Who, but guess the alien. After bickering one by one and say who is who, they all left until one of them came back. Turned out that all of them were killed when the bridge collapsed, both the police and the passengers, except for one, who turns out to be the Martian for an invasion. Until the cook mentioned that they won't be coming because he's from Venus, and they'll be the ones invading. He started laughing right there, like, oh, the Martian won't be there. The Venetians will be arriving. Then you have another episode called The Grave, which this is like a classic Western one, where you have a shootout between a dangerous criminal and the town finally taking justice in their own hands, taking out the criminal. But it wasn't the end. No, the guy who had been looking for him for a long time arrives, found out he's been executed by the town. But one of them bets him to visit his grave and place a knife there. He did, but he didn't came back down. One of the guys from the bar went up to the grave. They met up with the guy's sister. I mean, the guy who got shot, the criminal. Went up to the grave and they found him on the ground, pinned with his own knife on the grave. At first they thought, oh, because he accidentally pinned his coat on the grave by the wind, but no, the wind was blowing from a different direction, so the coat would not be over the grave. So, looks like the ghost of the criminal doesn't want him to be around alive anymore. There were others, but I think the most popular one of all has to be the Talking Doll, aka Talking Tina. Which we all know the famous phrase, sorry, I have to do this voice, because why not? My name is Talking Tina. I love you very much. Yeah, we all remember that phrase. But oh no, you better treat Tina nice, or she kills you. You don't believe me? Ex Telly Savalas, who played the dad in this episode. Correction, stepdad. Damn, he didn't like the doll. And guess what happened? The doll didn't like him. Ended up killing him by tripping him off the stairs. When the wife found him dead, she picked up the doll, and the doll told her, my name is Talking Tina, and you be nice to me. Oh yeah. Dolly don't play nice. Ha. But there were others like Mr. Garrity in the Grave, which was from season 5 from 1964. This one was my favorite because I recognize the actors from there. If you've ever seen Gunsmoke, those guys usually appear in some Gunsmoke episodes. We got the guy named Mr. Garrity, who claims he can bring the dead back to life. First things first, a dog got run over. The town didn't recognize it. He managed to bring the dog back to life, which he goes to different towns that needs like healing, like bringing their loved ones back to life. I forget the name of this town. Peaceful Valley, I think. The original name was Boot Hill Junction, Death Valley, Happiness, Arizona. Okay, they start asking him to bring some of the loved ones, and then night came. He comes back. He said the first one is the brother of the bartender, which they. Okay, I like the music when they see that's supposed to be the brother walking down and that eerie music. And then when the bartender asks him not to bring him back because he was a scumbag, he was a drunk. Which, oh boy, that's when they realize the truth. They're afraid. Then one by one, everybody started afraid. Including one who's a drunk. Turns out his wife, who was the other one who'd never been murdered, was abusive to him. He actually broke an arm, which caused him to get a limp. Like some type of, I don't know what you call this. If you remember the episode from Family Guy when Peter ate so much burgers, he had like a stroke that had the one half numb and the other. Something like that. So one by one, everybody who pays to have their families resurrected, even the sheriff, who didn't want a famous gunslinger that he took out alive because maybe doesn't want to have a rematch, believing because may or may not, he might didn't do a fair duel as in shooting somebody in the back. So one by one, they pay up the money. They go back. He leaves town, and somehow it was actually a scam. The guy who played the bartender brother came out. Including the dog that was resurrected. It was actually his dog. They passed by the cemetery and said, "Sorry, my good people. I did what I can do." But here comes the funny part. After he leaves, a strange rumble appeared and then the eerie music. And then suddenly, everybody from the graveyard starting to come back to life. So technically, he actually can bring back the dead, which he didn't know. And one by one, the dead of the people, one by one, first was the dead bartender bro saying, "I'm going to dig back and get drunk." And then another one, who was the gunslinger, was have a rematch with a sheriff. And then the last was the wife of the other guy, who wants to break his arm. If her name is a Zelda Guberman. Which cuts to the end of Serling narrating about the guy's misunderstood talents and cuts to an empty graveyard in the Twilight Zone. Damn, that was a good episode. What else? I think there was more, but I think there was one called, let me see. I have a list here. The Mask. From season 5. If you don't recall that episode from season 5, The Mask, this was a classic. It's kind of like, if you don't remember that episode, you might recognize the Mask from this. It takes place Mardi Gras. A happy time. And you have an old man who's dying, who's rich. They has caused relatives, which, face it, the guy is rich. Here's your description of this family. One is a coward. The other guy who's more greedy. The son is more like a jog, like a brute. And the daughter is more like, cares about her looks than somebody else. So yeah, before they claim their inheritance, they have this little Mardi Gras party. Like, each one wears a mask. By the stroke of midnight, they get their inheritance. If they don't wear the mask, they get nothing. One by one, the old man gives them the mask based on their personality. So they do. And of course, he's gonna wear the death mask, which classic. But yeah, when midnight was closing, everybody started to lose their minds until finally, when he's about to die, everything's yours, you selfish people. As he died, the father was the first one to remove the mask, and lo and behold, his face is the mask. And then his wife, and then his son, and then his daughter. Each one with a permanent face of what they actually look like from the inside out. And as for the old man, still the same. Peaceful. So, in the end, they all have to wear the faces for the rest of their lives who they really are. And I like that episode. And to tell you the truth, there are other episodes of Twilight Zone that are pretty popular. There was one about the wax museum, which I want to talk about, but the timing, double it. I want to up this before midnight. So yeah. Besides, what do you think about the Twilight Zone? I talk about the original old school one from 1959 to 1964. Were you a fan of it? Did you like it when it was during the reruns in the Sci-Fi Channel? Let me know what was your favorite episode of the Twilight Zone on the comments down below. I'm talking about the originals, not the remake, not the reboot. Don't worry, I'll be talking about the movie in a classic review in a different time. So let me know what you think of the episodes you liked of the Twilight Zone, and if you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you'll miss any of our great content. And also give a like to this video, they'll make sure you appreciate us more, and helps the algorithm a lot to get us more people to follow us. I'll see you next time. See ya.